Want to try to get everybody in?
Mr. Landrigan, please find your spot.
Good, that brings the...
Send Bob across to his
Bob,
spot.
you have to go over there. The mayor just said so.
Let the record reflect we have reconvened with all members present. Councilman Rowe and Councilman Wolkowitz are absent excused. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before I get to the greetings, ask if everyone please rise for a moment of silence. On December 30th, Barbara Stevenson died after a long illness. A memorial mass was held for her on January 30th. Barbara was a DDC member from 1989 through 1995, including serving as chair from 92 to 94. She received the Edgar Ferdinand Public Service Award for 5 years of service as founder, trustee, and market manager for the Madison Farmers Market. She's also a longtime volunteer for the Eagle Christmas Fund and wife of Jerry Stevenson, who has regularly attended our council meetings, and also in a role as editorial assistant and receptionist. She was that smiling face that would greet you at the Madison Eagle office on Main Street for 22 years before she retired in 2008. So let us now have a moment of silence to remember Barbara and reflect on her life and dedication to Madison. Thank you. Few minutes, we're going to be doing a couple oaths, but a few other comments. Hope everyone enjoyed the Super Bowl yesterday, or maybe half the people did and half the people didn't. But I guess the lesson to take from the Super Bowl is a good lesson for our department heads as you go into our budget presentations, that is that a good defense will always beat a good offense. Sorry. I want to talk, even it's now a distant memory, 2 weeks ago, the blizzard we had, but I certainly have not walked the streets since then without having a merchant, a resident, or a shopper, or just someone passing through Madison that's in downtown stop to make a point to thank of the great job that was done in clearing Madison from the snow, from work around the schools to the fact that just a few days after that blizzard, you could go downtown and did not have to climb over a snowbank. Not only that, you couldn't even find the snow downtown. They did a tremendous job, and we want to thank all the members of DPW, and as you see them out there, please thank them for their great work. We had ended up with the 6th highest snow total in New Jersey out of 565 towns, but I think we were number 1 in the cleanup. The employee for the month of February is Tom Knudsen from the Madison Public Library for his steady, reliable, and consistent service overseeing all library maintenance projects, including the major projects of many over the last just couple of years. Over his 32 years there, he will be retiring soon to start traveling the country in his Winnebago. All right, we're going to do one oath, and then we're also going to do a resolution and a second oath. Chief Datson, please come forward. Adam Riley. And any family. Bring your... Bless you. What do you think you want? Me? Is that me out there in the audience? Sorry. Right hand of the Bible, or raise your right hand, left hand of the Bible. There you go. I state your name.
I, Adam Riley,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will partially,
that I will partially,
faithfully,
faithfully,
and that should have been impartially, sorry. Let's start this over again. I, Adam Riley,
I, Adam Riley,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of police officer for the Borough of Madison,
all duties of police officer in the Borough of Madison,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
I further solemnly swear
Further solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution,
and I will bear true faith and allegiance
and I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations and welcome aboard.
For the
73.
73.
May I have a motion for Resolution 73, resolution of the Borough of Madison confirming membership of Brian Castano in the Madison Hose Company, number 1.
I'll move it.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Catalanello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Miss Bailey?
Yes.
Well, Brian Castano, please come forward, along with Chief DeRosa and family, if present, to hold a... Raise your right hand, left hand on the Bible, and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Brian Castano,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of
all the duties of
volunteer firefighter, Madison Hose Company, number 1,
volunteer firefighter, hose company number 1,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
I further solemnly swear
I further solemnly swear
to support the Constitution of the United States
for the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and I will bear true faith and allegiance
and I bear true
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and the government established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
and the authority of the people,
and the authority of the people.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Welcome aboard. Thank you for serving Madison. All right, moving on to reports from committees. Finance and Borough Clerk, Mr. Landrigan.
Mayor, maybe you could let
And if you-
police want to head out.
You're welcome to stay for the reports and budget hearings, but if you want to file out, you can do that. We'll hold off a second for the, and then I can correct myself on the order right now.
Are we off?
Take it easy, Sean. Hi, and you.
Would you?
Thank you. Okay, actually, we'll start with health. Mr. Catanello, and if you have as backup for Public Works Engineer, if you have anything for that also.
Sure. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Go Red for Women. Women are strong. That's right, the women are smarter. They solve problems, they can do anything men can do. And if there are some things women are even better at, it's dying of heart disease and stroke. The Madison Health Department challenges its residents to break the barriers. Please go red and help break the one against heart disease. It's not just a man's disease. Every year, 1 in 3 women die of heart disease and stroke. We can change that because 80% of cardiac events can be prevented with education and lifestyle changes. When it comes to beating heart disease and stroke, change can be the cure. We ask that our residents wear red during the month of February to remind everyone what it means to go red. G, get your numbers. Ask your doctor to check your blood pressure, cholesterol, and glucose. O, own your lifestyle. Stop smoking, lose weight, be physically active, and eat healthy. R, raise your voice. Advocate for more women-related research and education. And E, educate your family. Make healthy food choices for you and your family. Teach your kids the importance of staying active. And D, donate. Show your support and make a donation of time or money. There is increasing influenza activity in New Jersey. The Madison Health Department and the New Jersey Department of Health are seeing increased flu activity across the state. Antiviral medications are a critical tool in preventing flu-related complications and can be used to halt the spread of the illness in settings where there are vulnerable populations. Key reminders for our residents are high-risk individuals whose disease is progressing should see their physician to be evaluated and treated with antiviral meds. Schools, long-term care facilities, and child care centers are reminded to promptly report outbreaks in their facilities to the Madison Health Department so that prevention control measures can be quickly implemented. And everyone should be encouraged to get a flu vaccine and to take precautions such as covering coughs and sneezes, staying away from sick people, staying at home when sick, and washing your hands often to stay healthy and stop the spread of virus. If I'm not mistaken, you're supposed to say wash your hands and you say the alphabet twice, right? Nice and slowly. So anyone who still needs a flu shot can contact the Madison Health Department to make an appointment. Now let me see if I have something from DPW. I'm pretty sure I do, just have to find it. I'm actually sorry, I don't have it anymore in my... wait a second, here we go, I have it, I apologize. For the DPW, we had 29 inches of snow. DPW worked from Friday at midnight through Sunday morning plowing. Snow removal began on Monday at midnight through the whole center of town. Outside contractors were hired to assist, and we had the snow removal completed within 1 week. As it pertains to sewer repairs at Candlewood and North Street pump stations are undergoing as they look for more projects as well in the winter months. And that's it for tonight. Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Finance and Borough Clerk, Mr. Landrigan.
Thank you, Mayor. This evening, various department heads will be presenting their 2015 accomplishments, 2016 goals, and their operating and capital plans. As Councilwoman Vitale said last week, we are a service business and we need to serve the residents. Our department heads and their staff serve the residents and serve them well. The Finance Department, Chief Financial Officer, Chief Accountant, and Auditor are all working on closing out the books for 2015. The unaudited annual financial statements will be completed soon and submitted to the state. This important document will be used to revise our budget numbers and help us during the budget process. Quarterly property taxes are due February 1st. Residents are encouraged to pay them on time to avoid penalties. The tax collection office has been very busy and we appreciate all their efforts. As most people know, the borough collected taxes for the Board of Education and county as well as for municipal operations. Tuesday, February 16th, the borough will make a quarterly payment to the county in the amount of $2.4 million. The $1.5 million bond anticipation note for the MRC turf fields will be completely paid off this Wednesday, February 10th. The $55,000 in annual $55,000 in semi-annual interest payment for the MRC long-term bonds will be paid on Tuesday, February 16th. And finally, and this is personal observation, I thought the discussion we had at the special budget meeting here on February 1st was very constructive. I look forward to continuing the discussion and hopefully coming to a consensus on the budget on February 22nd. All council members are encouraged to reach out to the administration with their thoughts and suggestions on this year's budget. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Public Safety, Ms. Vitale.
Thank you, Mayor. First thing I want to say, and Chief DeRosa is sitting out here, but he wanted to mention when we're talking about this recent blizzard is that to say very special thank you to all the residents of Madison for clearing many of the nearly 800 hydrants during the recent blizzard. It was greatly appreciated. So within days, with all of that help, all of the hydrants were cleared. So in the month of January, the fire department conducted 2 training drills and responded to 110 calls for assistance. A breakdown of the calls are 33 general alarms, 8 still alarms, 3 of which were mutual aid calls, 32 investigations, 37 EMS calls. 12 career personnel took a tour, a 4-hour Narcan and EPI Penn class hosted by the Madison Volunteer Ambulance Squad. 20 fire prevention inspections were conducted, 12 smoke and CO inspections for resale or rental were also conducted. Some information from the police department for the month of January. There were 3 officers that took NJSP standard field sobriety courses. The entire staff completed CJIS recertification course, and one of Lieutenant Misha did a public information officer's class. The nice thing is that a couple of months ago we introduced corporals as supervision coverage, and their total for the month of January was 129 hours, which saved in the sergeant's overtime, and we had 0 hour of overtime at that point. Some of the January noteworthy occurrences happened. Madison was voted one of the top 50 safest towns in New Jersey. Hosting FDU course in an EOC for effective risk communication. Madison PD attendance participation in a Dr. Martin Luther King service at the Madison First Baptist Church. Appointment of Patrolman Adam Riley to the position of full-time police officer, as we did just recently. Appointment of Vincent Zaletsky to the position of full-time dispatcher. Chief Datchison also participated in the area clergy meeting of the Morris County Police Academy, which was hosted by the Morris County Prosecutor's Office in January, the end of January. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And Community Affairs, Ms. Bailey.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. The Downtown Development Commission will be presenting its 2015 annual report at the Borough Council meeting on February 22nd. And tickets are now available for the 2016 Taste of Madison, which will be held on Monday, March 7th at the Park Avenue Club. Tickets can be purchased at Gary's Wine and Marketplace locations in Madison, or you can visit www.tasteofmadison.org. Select Madison merchants will also sell tickets in their stores. And the tickets must be purchased in advance, and guests must be at least 21 years old. And ticket prices, VIP admission, this is entry at 6 p.m., $100 each. General admission, entry at 7 p.m., $65 each. And looking ahead, May Day will be on Saturday, May 7th this year. And the May Day T-shirt art contest is underway. Flyers will be distributed to public elementary schools and St. Vincent's Martyr and will be posted on Rosenet later this week. The deadline for submission will be Friday, March 11th. And from the Madison Senior Center, the AARP Morris County Tax Aid Program began its 2016 season with a shakedown visit on Wednesday, February 3rd. Appointments begin February 10th, and Madison will host 6 volunteer tax preparers, down from the usual 8 in previous years due to attrition. The program continues through April 13th. First meeting of the Madison and Chatham's Grata Grant Coalition was held on February 2nd to review a draft of the proposed needs assessment survey. Committee Chair Sandy Fiello led the committee through a 2-hour discussion of existing assets and gaps in communication, quality of life, community services, volunteerism, housing, and transportation issues. The survey tool was reviewed for clarity, brevity, and substance, and the changes will be forwarded to the Center for Research and Evaluation on Education and Human Services for incorporation. Although summer is far away, the 2016 Summer Seminar Series Committee met for the first time on January 28. 8 of the 9 invited speakers have already agreed to participate, speaking on topics ranging from political polling to Cole Porter. And that's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. And both our utility liaison and backup are absent, so I don't know if anyone's got a utility report. Okay. We'll go on to communications and petitions.
None received, Mayor.
Great. We'll go now on to invitation for discussion, and we're going to do things a little bit differently today, so we'll have offer 3 opportunities to speak, because our first agenda item is the budget. So we will have a opportunity to comment or ask questions related to the budget right after the presentations from all the departments. So if you want to comment on that, probably better to wait until you get to hear. So other things that can be discussed at this point are the other items on the agenda, which include a softball field scoreboard donation for the MRC, and any of the resolutions that are listed on the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to comment on discussion item 2 or the resolutions? Seeing none, I close this part of the meeting, and we move on to the budget. Bobby or
Okay, Mayor, I'll just do a quick intro. Yep. Okay, last week we focused a lot on capital needs and the electric utilities, so forth. Tonight we're going to be hearing from each of the department heads, talking about, like I said before, their goals, what they did last year, what they hope to do this year, and their budget.
Thanks, Bob. This is the agenda. I'm going to jump right in and let Lou DeRosa start, and then from there we'll go to health, police, construction, public works, engineering, and then Madison Public Library. You're on, Lou.
Thank you, Jim. Okay. Good evening. We were told we only have 10 minutes to speak, so I'm going to keep it short and sweet.
Thank you.
Just to reintroduce ourselves, we're the Madison Fire Department. We're a combination department, so I'm responsible for both career and volunteer staff. This year we celebrate our 135th anniversary in the town of Madison. Presently, I have a total of 40 personnel, 14 career and 26 volunteers, 12 of which are support, 12 are suppression, 8 support, and 6 of which are inactive or life members, which are kind of like an associate member that have been here for a while. Our call breakdown for some numbers and statistics from 2010 to 2015. You can go down the individual columns, but the totals in 2010 we responded to a total of 1,048, and then 2015 we did 1,302. So our numbers have steadily climbed. There was a couple blips in there during Hurricane Irene and Hurricane Sandy when we were exceptionally busy, but that's a breakdown of how busy we are and what we do within our department. My accomplishments for 2015, brought in 4 new volunteers into the department, but sadly we've lost 5, so we really did on to other things. We did hire another firefighter in 2015. Vacancy that was there from 2010 when Chief Madison retired. We all our mandatory testing and training requirements. Gained all our equipment and apparatus has been all new computers, tablets for 8 of our apparatus for the fire trucks and for the staff vehicles. And that was funds from that we had acquired over the years for fines and penalties that were assessed. They're up and running, and we're utilizing them. They allow us to interact with other agencies within the county on a data level, where they can see information that we have at platform as a police department. Gives us a lot of flexibility. Also, last year we finally computerized all our records, and our record keeping is now on. I'm getting programs to work the way we need it. My goals for 2016, real quick, just continue with our mandated training requirements, which we have. Morris County recently purchased and just brought to life a brand new live burn facility. Got its final blessing through training, so we're hoping to go up to Fire Academy for actually live fire burn training. At least 2, if not. Very reasonable with cost to go there. For in county, I believe it's only $100 to go. Plus, we have to buy the lumber that's associated with out of town or out of county departments have to pay upwards. I think it's $900 to use that burn facility. So Morris County's got first crack at it, and we're going to take good advantage of that. So we're hoping to do that at least, like I said, 2 or 3 times. The next thing I want to do is in the career division, I want to promote 4 to give us level or better levels of management within the department. Presently, it's just myself, 1 career captain, and I have a volunteer captain and lieutenant in the volunteer division. I also want to promote one of my volunteers to a battalion chief's position, which we haven't filled in many, many years, to also give us another level of management on the fire ground and within emergency scenes. I always want to attract and try and retain more volunteers, but that's becoming more of a challenge as we move on. We're going to take our SOGs, our standard operating guides. We just started reviewing them, updating and modernizing them, so we're doing stuff in a more proficient manner. Continue to keep morale high, which is very important. Apply for any grants that are relevant to what we're doing. And then we're due to replace an engine in 2019, so we're going to start the spec process on that as far as gathering intel and information of new technologies to incorporate into that. So my budgets, I'm basically responsible for 2.5 budgets. The last one up there, the public safety complex one, I share with Chief Datchison, but I'm just going to review the quick number changes that are involved with that. But on my operating budget, salaries have gone up in that category due to steps, the new hire, and the additional funds for the lieutenants. Equipment maintenance, I've asked for an additional $3,800 to help fund equipment within the firehouse. Over the past 4 or 5 years, we've kind of kept a flat line or haven't gone up much. So things need to be repaired, and that's what the money for that's for. We've also asked for additional funds in our telephone or communications budget. In getting the new tablets and computers in the trucks, we have to pay for air cards, so that's the funding associated with that. And before I jump to the next one, vehicle maintenance, if there's any questions on the operating budget, I'll be happy to talk about or answer them now.
Chief, right now we're putting aside money for new radios because I know the county is going to a new standard, and I think
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the beginning.
new radios. Is that new handheld radios? I know the squad is putting money aside for them right now. That goes about $2,000 a piece. Will you be doing the same thing? Are you going to be purchasing new radios as well?
We're going to. I'm going to try and keep what I have working right now. We applied for new frequencies. This is a long story, and I don't got 10 minutes to say it. FCC and the federal
that's
government.
what I'm referring to.
We have to leave where we're at.
Yeah.
In 2022.
Yep.
They sold off those spectrums to the cell phone carriers. So we just applied for new frequencies, and we got that. So in 2022, we're supposedly going to have to get new equipment all the way around. But part of that problem is I don't know if it's going to happen or not. And I don't want to buy the new radios if I don't really need them.
Right.
What I have works fine for now, and I'd rather wait. The federal government's supposed to fund us to buy these new radios. But we're in the same boat, and it's a big boat with New York City Police, New York City Fire, Philadelphia Police, Los Angeles County. There's a whole host of huge departments, way bigger than little old Madison, that are in this quagmire of having to jump ship. So we're not looking to purchase new ones today.
Right.
I might purchase one or two more so I have interoperability capabilities. But other than that, no, I'm just going to stay with the standard ones we're using now. They're working for the next few years anyway. Any other questions?
Rob?
Yes.
Is the ratio, if you promote 4 of your guys to lieutenant, is the ratio of command officers to firefighters in line with industry standards, or is it a little high?
Interesting question. Industry standards. When you have, because of the 4 lieutenants, they work shift work and they're always on a rotation, so they're never really working together.
So you have 4 6-hour shifts, basically, you're telling me?
Well, 10s and 14s, they work. So there's someone, there'll be one day, one night
Gotcha.
On a rotating regular
So
basis.
you just want to do it because you want to have one lieutenant on every time?
Pretty much, yeah.
Thank you.
Around the clock, yeah.
I understand.
Yep.
Any other questions on this section? Okay.
Vehicle maintenance, real quick, for our apparatus and our staff vehicles. I've asked for additional funds in that. Our fleet is getting older. I only have warranties on one vehicle, which is a pickup truck, a 2014 pickup truck. So everything else is pretty much, when it breaks, we have to pay for it. There is nothing cheap in the fire service and nothing cheap on a fire truck. Our apparatus, like the ladder truck, was $1 million fire truck. There's nothing cheap on $1 million fire truck. Batteries, tires, and all the electronics and components. So I ran out of money last year. They had to go to contingency. The year before, I had asked for contingency, so we bumped it up this year, and hopefully we won't have to ask for a contingency. But this is pretty much a maintenance budget. It doesn't. If I get a big failure or something, I usually have to go back and ask for more. So, but that's what those two accounts for. I'm bumping up the maintenance motor vehicles by $4,000 and parts and accessories by $6,000. So it's about a $10,000 increase in that. So. Any questions on that? And then finally, public safety complex. We're asking for another $4,500 for maintenance of equipment and some plumbing and heating items that need to be addressed. The big thing is, over the past couple of years, we had to cut the budget to meet what the requirements were, and some of that stuff was like washing windows and polishing the floors. And we just had the floors done, and it took them a very long time to bring them back. And he says to me, listen, if we come every 3-4 months, we can keep them nice. So we're just trying to keep things nice rather than hit it hard once or twice a year, or once or twice every other year. So that's what that's for. So any questions on the public safety complex? Cool.
Under 10 minutes with questions. So,
All I got is my capital budget, and I don't know if you need to review that at all.
you have a question on operating?
No.
No, okay. So on to go ahead.
On the capital, real quick, this year, 2016, I've got a bunch of little stuff that adds up to that $100,000 mark. Replacing turnout gear, which is an ongoing thing. They put about a 10-year life on a set of turnout gear. As far as the NFPA standards that mandate and require us to do that. We're looking to replace our antenna. That's the only radio thing. It's been up there since we put it in '97, so it's a little bit weathered for all the years. Our jaws of life, our big cutter Robbie Dunn just found the article in the Madison Eagle. It was donated to us by the Rotary Club in 1977. The whole setup, the jaws, the pump, and some accessories was $5,000. They raised the funds and they donated. We took delivery of it in October '77. That's what we're replacing. Finally, it's an old pair. It's a heavy pair. It can't be really repaired anymore, so we're going to get a new pair, and that's what the $12,000 for that is for. We have some older gas meters that are just not supported technology-wise, so we're looking to replace them. I'm looking to replace my staff vehicle, which is a 2007 vehicle, which still runs in pretty decent shape. But I have a 2005 Dodge Dakota that is dying as we stand here talking. So I'm looking to get rid of the Dakota, take my 2007, bump it down into that reserve backup U slot for school and standby and stuff like that, and then shuffle me in a new vehicle in there. The other one's a forcible entry training prop that will be used by the department, and that's pretty much it for 2016. We've got some smaller items in between, and then the big items kick in 2019 and 2020. In 2019, I'm hoping to replace our 1990 E1 pumper, which will be approximately 30 years old at that time. It still runs, we still have it in service, but it's getting harder and harder to maintain it with parts. There's not 30-year-old parts sitting on a shelf anymore. Usually when it breaks, we have to either try and find them or get something made or try and make something work. So it's getting harder and harder to do that. So that's in 2019, which will keep our engines approximately 10 years apart in time span. So we're not getting a big hit on a consistent basis every 10 years for engines. And then 2020 would be our rescue truck, which would put it at about 25 years of age at that particular point too. Again, it's harder to get parts as they get older, and people don't support the technology that's on them too. Last year in the rescue truck, we had to replace the PTO generator governor, which went bad, and that controls the generator on the truck. The company that made the PTO governor they're still in business, but they don't support it. So the truck is useless without that part. We were fortunately able to find one that still works with the older motors that don't have computers on them, but I don't know how much longer they're going to support that either. So again, as technology moves forward, it's like Windows when they say, look, we're not supporting XP or 95 anymore, you're out of luck. We're kind of in that same boat with some of the technology. So, but that's in 2020. So, any questions on my capital budget? I'm trying to just cut this short.
Yeah, I do. The chief and I sat down and talked about his capital budget. And one of the things, everybody has been extremely concerned about going out the 5 years on this particular, on their capitals. So if you look at 2017, you're down to 57.5, and then you're back up to 401 and 18, 351, and then the big nut shows up in 2020 of 562. And one of the discussions that we had was kind of spreading that out a little bit more. And I think we have to talk a little bit more about it. I talked to Ray and Jim about it, and it seems sensible that the 340 for engine 3 be spread out maybe from 2017, 2018, and 2019. So, and the same way with the rescue truck. Instead of coming in for $550,000 at that point, if we're spreading that out a little bit, it'll be helpful. The one thing that I'm concerned about is if we do that, because that it seems that everybody sitting here seems to agree that we should be spreading these things out a little bit better than they already are on some of these capital these capital plans. The one thing that I'm concerned about is when we start spreading this out, we have a very high number in 2017 for capital. So we have to kind of look at what's good for the fire department, police department, and whatever, and then go down to engineering and see, and just really, I think, get a better concept. And because we're going to go from like a little over 4 million to over 5 million next year in capital projects. But I wanted everybody to know that the chief has been very good and very receptive, and to all of this. So those numbers may change.
And the engine, realistically, I wouldn't want to push it out much beyond 2019, only for the simple reason it'll mess up that 10-year gap between engines, which we try and keep them active.
I mean going this way.
Yeah, if you go back the other way, that's even better yet, as long as we don't go the other direction, beyond the
Is there any possible way, like the rescue truck, we could move that to 2021 too? You know what I mean? Like the 550, cut that in half. Can we do that, Lou?
Yeah, if you move to 2021, we can live with that, yeah.
Okay.
Because that still keeps it at 26 years old, and it's, another year is not going to make or break it, and if it helps us out as a town, it will. In 2021, though, I have forecasted to finally eventually replace one of the staff vehicles too.
Right.
In the long-term one. So just keeping that on the horizon as well.
Okay, well, we'll talk a little bit more about how we want to spread that out. Just want to bring that up.
Yep. Certainly, two approaches, and they're not mutually exclusive, dealing with these peaks and valleys. One is just been outlined is spreading things, reserving prior years so it's spread out. The other is to make sure that one department's peak matches up with another department's valley.
Right.
And so that's kind of falls on our administrative
Many
team to
years
make that
ago,
happen.
many years ago, and I'm dating myself now, back in the 90s, they were pay-as-you-go, so it was just a number and it went out there.
Yeah.
And then we bonded for fire apparatus when we bought the building that was the first time in God knows how long, probably going back into the 50s. So spreading it out, that's fine. You know, we kind of change with the times. So.
Yep. Thank you. Any other questions for the chief? Well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief Datchison.
I dressed up for the occasion.
That's
I hope I'm dressed up like this every year. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I want to thank you for this opportunity to present my 2016 Madison Police Department budget. This budget is being presented to you as lean as possible without sacrificing the level of service to our community that we all expect out of our department. This budget will not negatively impact the safety of my officers or the community at large. Let me begin by giving some statistics for 2015. Madison Police Department answered 34,621 calls for service. My officers made 213 arrests. They conducted 4,616 motor vehicle stops, which resulted in over 4,500 summonses. Our Traffic Safety Division also investigated 451 motor vehicle crashes, and patrol officers patrolled approximately 196,000 miles of Madison roadways. Accomplishments for 2015. As we heard earlier, Madison was named one of the 50 safest communities within New Jersey. Madison was also named one of the 100 safest communities in America. I'm proud of this, but I don't deserve credit. My officers do. They're the ones that are out there day and night making our community safe. One big accomplishment was we incorporated the Morris County dispatch software, which is going to increase efficiency and reduce costs. We're going to increase efficiency because with this system, we're going to share data with all the agencies that are on this county-wide system. It's going to save money because we do not need the maintenance costs. We do not need the hardware. That's going to be taken up on the county level. One benefit of this system is also redundancy. If we were to have a catastrophic failure at headquarters, one of my dispatchers can actually go to the county dispatch center and actually dispatch from there. It also increases efficiency in relationship to investigations because once, as I said earlier, we share data with every community that is on the system. So information that would otherwise be unknown to my officers, we're able to populate that screen and see where individuals have been throughout the county and throughout northern New Jersey. Another accomplishment is the establishment of the corporal position. As we all know, 2015 was rather cumbersome with the high cost of supervision. The establishment of the corporal position not only saves supervisory costs, but it's also developing the future leaders of our agency. This cost measure alone is saving approximately $15,000 to $20,000 per month. During 2015, we also hired several per diem dispatchers. Once again, it's going to reduce the overtime costs within the communications division. We also hired 5 new officers at one time, and I thank you for that because that put strain on our patrol division, which was extremely short last year. We also implemented the hiring of 2 Class 2 specials One was our SRO, which we actually sworn tonight, Adam Riley, which is now a full-time position. Doing an outstanding job as a Class 2 in the schools, and that is why we offered him the position as a full-time. 2015, we also incorporated the use of the Carfax system. What this does is this decreases the walk-up traffic to our traffic division and allows citizens the ability to retrieve crash incident reports via the internet. We also revived the Neighborhood Watch program and the Home Security Survey program. What this does is it creates a partnership with our community, making Madison once again a safer place to live. We also purchased new duty weapons, replacing our old failing weapons. This purchase had little impact on our municipal budget due to the generosity of Mr. Peter Esposito. We also implemented the Narcan program, which may save lives to overdose victims. Madison Police also hosted Fairleigh Dickinson University in our Emergency Operations Center with several classes in order to educate our profession and our officers. My 2016 goals: to finish the long and arduous accreditation process in the first quarter of the year. This has been going on for quite some time, and it's been a long road, but we're almost there, and we hope to finish that in the first quarter. Now that we're on the county CAD and RMS system, I would like to implement the e-ticketing platform. What this does is this is the electronic generation of summonses. This is once again going to help efficiency, not only in the police department, but as well as our municipal court. Once an officer scans, it automatically populates and dockets that summons within the court. We are currently in the process of completing the promotional process for lieutenant and sergeant. I would like to fill those vacancies as well as the now vacant captain position. One last project would to build a multi-use structure down at our pistol range. This is going to be used for firearms training as well as storage. Right now we have a lack of storage space for our message boards, motorcycles, things of that nature. So this multi-use structure would be built in 2016. And one last goal would be to increase the use of our Emergency Operations Center for in-service training, which reduces the cost of training for our officers. $2016 capital, I just spoke of the range house. This $30,000 that I'm asking for is the actual cost of the structure. Once again, we would offset the cost with the Peter Esposito funds. I'm also asking to replace a patrol vehicle with that $48,000. In 2017, I know the chief had just spoken about the radios. We're looking to replace our handheld units, which were purchased in 2004. What this is going to do for us, it increases interagency operability, which is always a problem when you go on these multi-jurisdictional calls. It's also going to set us up, should the government force us into that 700 to 800 megahertz window. These radios will be capable of handling that situation. As you can see in 2018, we're looking to start setting aside funding for our desk equipment to update our desk. That's going to take place over a 3-year period. Also in 2018 would be $100,000 for the camera system within headquarters, which may be offset by another platform, which is pending at this point. So that $100,000 is subject to change and be reduced dramatically. 2019 would be replacing our radar units, which obviously are equipped in all of our vehicles. And once again, another patrol car. 2020 is just another $200,000, which would take place to replace our desk equipment. And 911, which is approximately 9 years old at this point. As I stated before, our Budget for this year remains relatively flat from last year. There have been some increases in the salaries and wages, which is obviously contractual and out of our hands. I'm looking for a slight increase in the vehicle account, which would take into account the light bars and equipment for the new vehicles. When you go to new vehicles, you're not always able to transfer the equipment over, and cages, things of that nature need to be changed. I am looking for an increase in safety supplies. I know we had discussed a public safety day in lieu of National Night Out, so that's the reason why I'm seeking a slight increase to take care of that first responder day. Are there any questions?
Austri?
That include?
Testing processes, promotion, psychological exams, things of that nature.
So we're testing the last few years. Number one, considered.
Yes.
Okay, and then question is, we're going traffic signs. We're buying a lot of traffic signs.
Yes, we have to replace a lot of our traffic signs in town with the retro-reflective signs as per federal standards. So we're
That's the reason why that number's increased.
yes.
Other questions? So one of the big savings I see is in overtime, and so that's continue, not now that we're full, you have the 5 officers, full year, is that part of the savings there? And then the
Yes.
per diem?
The largest savings is the implementation of the fuel position.
Yep, biggest thing, okay. And I think it's good to point out to the public that with your leadership, we've gone from $340,000 overtime to $220 for this year's budget, so that's good management. Thank you. Carmel?
Chief, I just wanted to ask you a question. I was looking at, you want to complete your promotional process, which we know we've given you permission, for the test for the lieutenants and the sergeants and whatever. One of the things that we lost with Adam Riley coming in as a police officer now as an SRO
Yes.
officer. I mean, what are your plans? Keep forgetting to ask you that all the time.
Yes,
What are your plans for that?
I want to fill that position immediately.
Okay. So how are you going to fill it? Are you going to fill it from within, or?
No, I would like to hire another Class 2 special.
Okay, so it'll be a Class 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Question that Carmel asked of the fire chief, and I'll ask you. Is there any way to make desk equipment, like smooth out the peaks and valleys? Maybe start funding the desk equipment earlier, and maybe move, let's say, the radio, maybe split the peaks and
I'm
valleys.
sure that could be handled, yes.
Instead of the big hits and then.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Right, any other questions? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Construction. Russ?
Hey, Mayor Connolly, council members, good evening. Being new to this and not much of a public speaker, I assure you I'll stay to the 10 minutes or less. First, I'd just like to say thank you for the opportunity to represent the building department as a department head this year. Over the past 10 years, it's really grown into something that really merits standing on its own. If we take a second to look at the numbers, almost 2,000 permits issued, nearly 7,000 inspections, and with a primarily part-time department, we're doing okay. The UCC certificates are the closing out of permits, and we collected, I'm showing here, even after being told by Jim to check these numbers a number of times, we were actually 680, we're almost 681,000 in revenue this year. 38 violations. We're a little high this year. That's kind of an anomaly. We had an issue with an apartment complex. One of the biggest demands on our department is the OPA request. And I called out Chatham in particular because their lack of data entry into our software system makes it much more difficult to retrieve the information. So we spend a lot of time on that.
But now that we are fully Chatham's department going forward, it will meet the same standards that we have for Madison.
As these requests come in, they're being updated into the system, and when they're retrieved the second time, it can all be done digitally. We've gone ahead and enhanced our permit system. We're building on the spatial data system every day, and that's just making our day-to-day much easier and able to handle these numbers, again, with the staff that we have. Our goals for the coming year are going to be to maintain our time frames for our permits issued and inspection requirements. We've got some new staff that have been bringing with them some efficiencies they brought from the corporate world, some checklists, some things of that nature, and it helps us handle the volumes of the work. And we want to complete our archiving project up in the attic for both Madison and Chatham. We're nearly complete with Madison. And with that, to cover on the budget comments, we've utilized the intern program to streamline our process in the attic. We used to file by year, and even in Madison, trying to do an OPA request or pull a file for a resident, finding the box, finding the year, it took an inordinate amount of time. So with some of the closing of Pfizer and obtaining some files, we now file by block and lot, and within minutes we can retrieve all of that documentation. Going pretty well.
Carmelo?
Just out of curiosity, I know you've done a good job as far as Madison, and we've been pretty productive over the years. What does it look like with Chatham? Because I know when we first took over, you just got boxes and boxes
It's getting better every day.
Yeah.
We operate now as, in our world, we look at it as one big town.
Yeah.
The one stumbling block is the OPA.
Right.
But again, that's getting better every day.
Do you have a lot more to do to input into the system to make that process easier?
Yeah.
A lot.
Like I said, the interns do a wonderful job. These are real talented kids. We have a new employee, a part-time employee, Lisa Quinn, who works really well with the staff. So they're managed a lot better than we had in the past. It's a program that really I can't say enough about.
Quick question. GVR is going to be coming online pretty soon. How do you think that's going to affect you?
I think we're going to be okay. We have in place the ability to do per diem inspectors and pick them up as we need them and not when we don't. It's typed into the budget. We have 2 that we use for plumbing and electric now. If we need a couple more, we'll pick them up. But I think we're doing okay.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Just a couple of quick comments. One, for your first time, and you did a great job. So
yes, well, thank you very much.
Another, this is, again, for the public to understand that this is one of the examples of a great shared service that evolved over time. Our workload has grown exponentially. Our staffing, maybe not so, because it's been through the dedication of you and your staff and the tone you set in there. And the other thing is, I hear from people who deal with other building code officials in other towns that Madison, as far as the way they're treated in that office and the work, the help and assistance you provide people as they come in for permits is incredible, and they truly appreciate it. So thank you for everything you do.
Well, I thank you for that, but it's because of the administration here. We have the people that we have. It really is a great department. And we've come a long way in 10 years. I mean, there's a big difference.
All right. Thank you, Russ.
Thank you.
Public Works.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The Department of Public Works, 2015 accomplishments were, the mill and overlay program went very well, and also with Denville line painting. It went very well this last year, and I hope this year it goes just as well between Bob, me, and Dennis Harrington. And then also, too, during the course of the year, I also had finished up our dry pit submersible pump installed at Candlewood, and a new grinder pump that was put back into service, because years ago there was one there and it went bad and it just wasn't working. So we put that into service this year. Then also too, we installed I had installed two scoreboards, and we had to replace some new doors up at the MRC already, because there was some vandalism up there. And then also too, we poured the pole barn floor in-house. We did that in-house with a huge savings. We used just my operating budget to pay for the concrete and everything on that, in that pole barn. Then also too, I'm still working on getting the well-E generator. I'm supposed to know tomorrow when it's going to be delivered. They've been going back and forth with me for the last couple of days when it's going to be delivered. And then also too, we had installed heavy-duty lifts at the garage, because the original lift went bad after it was original lift. And then when we did the environmental study, we made out very well. There was no oil or anything in the ground, which for the environmental. And then also too, we purchased a hot box last year for starting out this marching out for filling in all the potholes. Instead of using cold patch, we're going to be using hot stuff, which is a savings on money, and also we can always use it's rejuvenated stuff where we can take millings and heat that up too, and use that there. Okay, and the next thing here is for the Public Works for building improvements. I have one item on here for windows for the mechanics department. The windows there in the mechanics department have been there since the day that addition was put on. They are leaking, and there's only single pane glass, and we have to take them out and replace them with new windows, because you got the wind coming straight through. And we've been in my operating budget, I have been replacing all the doors. If you go down by the garage, every year I've been replacing one or two, because I can do it better that way than come for a capital ordinance to do them all, because they average about $8,000 a door. So, and we have 5 doors in there, so that's why I do a couple each year. And at the end of this year, all the doors will be done, and then I just have to do the windows. Now, the other 2 items on here, Bob has gotten here for the Harley Dodge contamination and the video alarm. Okay. Then under my capital for 2016, I would like to replace another big truck. This is the single axle dump trucks. The ones we have now are 16 years old, and that's why I'm stretching out. We used to do 10 years on trucks, and I'm stretching them out to 13 to 16 years old. And then it takes me to get one truck. We put a purchase order in August. We still haven't received it today, and the body's not even on it yet. They're not sitting in the yard. That's why we have to keep, each year I have on the capital here to replace one of the big trucks. So by 2019, that'll be the last year, and all the big trucks will be replaced. And they'll be good for like 16 to 20 years. Because we're getting aluminum bodies in that there, because the rust is beating the daylights out of everything. That's what's happening there. Then also, too, I have on here replacement of two dump trucks. It's a 113 and 119. They're 13 years old, and that's what I'm saying. We used to go 10. I'm going 13 years on each truck. But now it's to the point where the body's got holes in them. And we've been trying to patch them in that, but rust starts, it's gone. So that's for the 2 trucks there. And then also, too, I have on my capital is a 16-foot cut lawnmower. This machine here is 14 years old. We use it every day during grass cutting season. And the machine is 105. But it's a one-man job. I send one man out, he's done in 3 days. If we have to cut the grass, everything, I'd have to send 3 men for 4 days to get this one job done. This is where I only need one man. And then also, we're still talking about expanding our fuel storage, which I have to work with Bob in that in regards to this. Here's the engineer thing that has to get done. And then as you look from 17 on to 20, I do have various trucks that are going to be replaced for years coming up. That's for going down for there. Then in 2020, we're going to have to replace the trackless, which is the yellow machine that goes around and does all the sidewalks and does snow blowing and snow loading. We use that machine for loading trucks too, especially on bridges. We can use that there because I got 2 different chutes with that. There, we can do both. So if our snow loader goes down, I got another machine to back it up. That's a backup machine for loading snow and removing any kind of snow. And then we have the Jeeps that got to get replaced too, because we have a vehicle inventory list where we cycle where I've been pushing it back from 10 to 13, 14 years. So according to what we do for the trucks and that there. That's what we have there. And then my goals are for all my operating budgets in that there, what I have been presented to me, we can function on. And we've done a lot of projects with the operating budgets. Like last year, we took care of the scoreboards without coming to the council and asking for any money. When the scoreboards were donated, I got the money in my budgets to have them installed. Because that's the biggest thing that had been done there. And then also to any kind of upgrades that have to get done to any of the parks for vandalism in that there. So, but the budgets, and the only thing increase, I have no control over salaries in that, but the only thing, if they went up a little bit, it has to do with maintenance. That's our biggest thing. And we use the co-ops a lot for everything. For purchasing anything. That's where we get good prices on all kinds of trucks and machines. We don't even put them out to bid anymore. With all the Middlesex, Somerset County, or Morris County co-op, we use them, and you get a very good price. That covers it at my end. Any questions?
For David? Please again take the word back to your crew about the great job that
yes, I will, Mayor. They all know it, and there has been a lot of phone calls and messages, and then we put them all right on the board, and we give them to everybody for what the great job they did.
Excellent.
It was a lot of long, hard hours in that, but we got through it.
And sometimes people don't recognize that, but it's great to see our residents did notice that.
Yes, that's right. So.
Engineering.
Good evening, everyone. So as far as engineering is concerned, as you know, you've seen a lot of these capital projects before. We've talked about them in December and January as well. So the engineering department's involved mostly in design and project management of these capital projects. So I thought it was a very good year for us last year. In total dollar amounts, it was just about $3 million worth of capital projects that were either designed and or managed. Ridgedale Avenue, the Mill and Overlay Program, David had mentioned. And I just would like to say to Chief Datchison, while he's here, great job on the Mill and Overlay Program last year. His Traffic Safety Division was absolutely crucial to getting it done and getting it done well. So the Police Department really helped out quite a bit on the Mill and Overlay Program last year and deserves credit for that. Waverly Green Parking Lot obviously turned out reasonably well. It got done by Bottle Hill Day, reasonable contract to get done by Adamsville. The sewer lining projects, we had 2 years of appropriations that were done in one contract with NTEC. The Madison Free Public Library, obviously that HVAC project was a challenge, having to be bid 3 times before we could get an awarded contract. And then once the award and the project started, found that the design architect had a much different idea about project management on site than we did. And, I really got pulled off in October and November and spent a whole lot of time on the library trying to get that accomplished. And at this stage, I think everything seems to be working reasonably well, despite some tweaks that are going to have to be made throughout the entire year in terms of heating and cooling adjustments. The Dodgeville basketball courts, simple project that we pulled together through the co-op. That was the KPN purchasing network with Musco. Did a great job, made the whole job very simple to accomplish. And Memorial Park rinks and fields. Dennis Harrington was mentioned before. Dennis did a lot of work on this, pulling quotes together from various contractors so that we could get a good jump start on the Memorial Park rink and fields. The last phase in terms of topsoil and seed and planting has to be accomplished when the weather breaks, but Leo Hines is set up and ready to do that as soon as we can. So we'll move those projects forward. All in all, over $3 million worth of capital projects were advanced, if not completed, and thought it was a good year. Also, we got $270,000 payment from the state for state aid, which helped in terms of getting Ridgedale Avenue done. There's still about $80,000 left, which they owe us, which we will apply for and get payments for this spring. For 2016, the 2016 road improvement plans are now ready for bid, and after our appropriations are completed, we'd like to advertise those and get that out on the street as soon as possible. That will allow us to get the 2016 road improvements program accomplished during the 3 months of the summer, which is crucial to getting minimizing impact to the local residents. The 2017 road projects, the survey quotes have been requested. There's 7 roads that are on that program for reconstruction and licensed professional surveys. If we can get those quotes out now, we can actually get the surveys themselves in June, July, and be ready to design those projects by budget season this coming fall. Contract administration. I'd say the mill and overlay project is fairly simple to implement. Again, the police department helped greatly with that this past summer. Dennis Harrington was also available for us as a field inspector, which also helped greatly. And I would like to see a similar level of dollar value of capital projects accomplished in the coming year. Our goal is $3 to $3.5 million. I think we accomplished $3 million this year. It just didn't occur all in the same budget year. And so as far as current appropriations are concerned, we have about $2 million in roads, which we'll appropriate tonight. And if we add the Bailey-Ellard carryover project, which is a site remediation, that's another $200,000. The sewer lining work will be another $200,000. If we take the Kleinfelter recommendations, it may be $285,000 this year as far as sewer lining and grouting is concerned. And there may be a library parking lot project, which I'll be involved in as well. So overall, I think, at this stage, $2.5 million worth of projects seem to be lined up for the coming year. So we should be busy and should be able to accomplish those without a great deal of additional energy. As far as our department is concerned, as you all know, we lost Dennis Harrington to Boswell Engineering in January. He's a good engineer. He's going to serve them very well. But he was a unique benefit to us because he was not only a resident, he was a licensed professional and a great inspector. It's going to be difficult to replace. So we're going to have to go out and look at professional services to cover his costs at this stage. Again, we were spending, between $60,000 and $80,000 in terms of inspection costs on the $3 million worth of work that we got done last year. If we don't find a suitable inspector from a third-party consultant, then perhaps we might be able to structure a staff position if we can hire the right guy. I mean, that's basically what it comes down to, finding the right guy. It's not just putting an advertisement out for anyone, but if we can find a similar person to what Dennis was, I'd love to put an option out there for a staff hire, taking money that we would normally spend in professional services. As far as our operating budget is concerned, it's flat. No increases in staffing or expenses are proposed. So if there's any questions about our day-to-day operating budget and engineering, please feel free.
Any questions?
Okay. So if you want to go through stormwater and capital over here, we can do that as well.
Yeah, you were resting your thumb in the wrong place, I think. There we go.
As far as the below Woods culvert's concerned, there's a stabilization project there which requires a DEP permit. That's where the $35,000 in 2016 comes from. The Elmer Street box culvert also requires DEP permit, and that is the culvert which runs through easements through the backyards where Lutz Payne is located. That needs to be replaced. It's been out of service for about 5 years. Avenue surcharge design, we have a specific problem right out in the front of Hartley Dodge here, where water concentrates itself at a manhole location and tends to, during less frequent rainfalls, more intense rainfalls, lift the covers off the manholes in a very bad location. So we'd kind of like to reconfigure the pipework that runs into that manhole and out of that manhole to make sure it can handle the water that comes into it and provides less of a hazard during rainfall. The stream stabilization work generally is going through with honor tree service and clearing and stabilizing where necessary. And miscellaneous inlet repairs, quite a few were done by DPW this past year, and we'd like to continue that process in the future. As far as sanitary sewers are concerned, there is a $285,000 item there that is taken from the Kleinfelter recommendations report for the sanitary sewers. What they have instead of a sewer lining project process is a rapid assessment process, which is videotaping about a quarter of the sewer system and high pressure grouting sections of the sewer system, and then they feel they can do. It's a much better dollar per foot type of investment from Kleinfelter's perspective, and so we're going to try that this year, and they're going to be working on plans and specs to bid that in the earliest part of the spring, so we can get that work forwarded during the summer. $10,000 for lights and ladders have to do with pump stations. That was also a Kleinfelter recommendation, particularly at West End, I believe. There was a problem with the ladder condition there that has to be replaced, time of the essence. So we're going to concentrate on that and get that work done this summer. West End pump station, I believe there's electrical system upgrades and pump replacements that have to be done there. Rachel pump station also very similar. There's a genset which is going to require some electrical work and some upgrades at Rachel Ave. Standby generator is the tow behind, which David has one old tow behind which we used during Hurricane Sandy in the back of this building, and it was well past its years, and so it's time to upgrade our tow behind generator. It also has multiple voltage outputs, so it's helpful in many different situations since many areas in Madison in terms of sanitary sewer pump stations and water pump stations, there are different voltages that we have to output. So this is a very flexible type of generator that you can use in many different situations. Dump trucks, David, you can talk more about that, but there's a dump truck there and some operating allocations that are necessary for video and I&I repairs in the sanitary sewer system. Health Department? Well, I could do land use while I'm here. Any questions on capital?
Yeah, don't do Health Department. Carmela.
Bob, I just want to go back to the stormwater systems. You have Bellow Woods, which has been, on the top of the list for lots of years now.
Well, we've been seeking funding.
Yeah, yes, I understand that.
Hazard
And we haven't
mitigation
gotten the
grant, the
funding.
Whippany
Right.
River watershed, we've put in several funding applications looking for assistance for that project.
In 2017, you have $200,000 for that. Do you think that's enough at that point?
I think if we scale back the project, it will be, Carmela.
Yeah?
Only because the streamlining will not be, the armoring of the stream itself, which is the central problem.
Right.
The lack of stabilization in that section of stream, won't be more than a $200,000 project. And what remains to be decided is how we do a bridge where right now there are several culverts which are in very poor repair. They're pipe culverts. How to replace that. And I think there are simple ways to do it. Even a footbridge would probably suffice. I think that idea came up at Whippany Watershed when we were there last. They were very interested in the water quality aspects, which is more of an overbank thing than actually in the stream as far as stabilization is concerned. But I do believe we can scale back the project to get the core problem of stabilization dealt with for that amount of money.
Besides the stabilization, there was a serious problem at the end of that brook that was really just needed a tremendous amount of upgrade. Is that going to be included in this?
Well, again,
Probably not.
If
Do you
we're
think?
building a new bridge,
Yeah.
a precast bridge, it won't be, because that would be a $150,000 add. When Almond first did their first takeoff on this 5 years ago, it was a $350,000 project.
Yes, I remember
So
that.
basically, we're taking the bridge out of it and just armoring the stream for the present.
Okay. So what are your plans? Maybe put the bridge in the next, you have this for 2017. Are you thinking 2018 or 2019 that we could possibly be doing that bridge? That's kind of an important thing as far as I'm concerned, because we have that silt problem that goes where. So.
At this stage, we're going to need a DEP permit first before
Right,
anything.
okay.
And so, that'll give us a chance to talk about how that bridge gets handled or
Okay.
not. At the very least, what it needs is high-pressure grouting of all the joints between the culvert pipes that are there, so that it's stabilized again.
Okay, so let me move to the Elmer Street, the Elmer box culvert. You have that being taken care of in 2018. We still need to do a lot of work, right, to get those easements. Do you think that there's going to be a possibility we'll have all of that done, since considering we've been trying to do it for a long time now, right?
I think I need to spend some time with the borough attorney, and
okay.
I think we can advance that relatively expeditiously. I think there are willing property owners there, including the Lutzes, and so we could certainly get 2 sections of the culvert which are currently collapsed replaced.
Okay.
That I am 100% certain of.
Do we need the easements for those 2 places?
We need to improve the easements that we have. Yeah. So I think re-executing some easements would be helpful to all parties concerned. Yeah.
So the plan is to start that process now?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Bob.
Welcome.
Hey, good evening.
Lisa? Well,
So, just to go over some of our accomplishments for 2015, we have joined the Spatial Data Logic System so that we can actually marry our information with the construction department, with block and lots. We've gotten all of our animal licensing and our retail food licensing loaded up into there. This year, we're working on getting the complaint system so that it'll all be intertwined and we'll all have access to that information. We had presented in November that we completed our strategic plan for the Madison Health Department. We also completed our workforce development plan, and we are finishing up our quality improvement plan in preparation for applying for our national accreditation. So you're actually getting a very abbreviated version because I'm kind of doing some of our goals with our accomplishments this evening. One of the other things that we were very excited about, we had been given the award of the Grata Fund for Senior Care Grant. I'll talk about that in a moment or two with some of the survey and needs assessment that Ashri talked about earlier. We also had a renewal of our Madison Chatham Coalition mentoring grant, which that grant, if you remember, that is for our Madison Chatham Coalition for Healthy Communities. It is a substance abuse prevention grant, and we have been recently told that we'll be able to apply for the $125,000 grant that this was a part of. Elizabeth Bringard works with us. She is our coordinator in the grant at this point, in the mentor grant, and she has been working for the past year on collecting the data and getting the needs assessment and logic model with her coalition members. And so they've been doing a lot of really hard work, and it's really started to pay off. One of the other programs I think I've mentioned in the past that we have seen some real achievements in over the past year is collaborating with a civil surgeon immigration physician on our vaccine for adults and children that are foreign-born. That program has really picked up, and we actually get, the physician actually sends us residents from all over the county. And then what we do is, after we do their initial vaccinations, we work on connecting them with their community health departments for additional assistance. We also implemented a variety of cost-saving measures, including we've changed vendors. We did some research and changed vendors on our animal licensing tags. We do more in-house printing now. So we've been able to reduce some of our expenditures from the prior year on our O&E. So our goals for 2016 is, as I mentioned, we're completing the complaint module on spatial data, as well as trying to work with them to linking our inspections to an online system. We're hoping by the end of this year to be able to utilize our tablets to have the inspection module off-site, and when the inspectors return, all of their inspections will be uploaded into our system. We also will be using printers off-site to be able to print those inspection reports immediately, which will assist us with cost savings as well as efficiency. We are also working on completing the quality improvement plan. We're also finalizing policies and procedures that have been we're updating them. Some of them, I would say, are probably 15 years old or more. So we've been working through, going through any that need to be updated and or things that never existed that was really up in all our institutional knowledge. We're putting it down on paper now. And again, our hope is to apply for the national accreditation by the end of 2016. One of the things we're hoping to do as well is to be able to apply for a grant that would assist in offsetting those costs. We are also working on implementing a performance management system department-wide. We were hoping to have it in place by the first quarter, but we were just made aware that the state might be working with Rutgers and we would be able to get a free software system. So we're really looking at seeing how that'll work, as well as the database would interface with the State Department of Health's local health report, which we're required to fill out annually. So instead of us having to do this system twice, it would end up being a little bit more time efficient for us as well. We also are looking at pursuing additional grants to support the department's mission. I did mention the $125,000 grant for the Madison Chatham Coalition. That is a potential opportunity for us, and that grant is does not have any physical hard cash match attached to it, and it would be $125,000 for 5 years if we're approved. As we go through the year with the Grata Fund project, we'll be able to look at that point and see if based on the data, we feel that there are projects that we'd like to apply for a secondary grant, and those two secondary grants would be upwards of $125,000 as well. And then the accreditation grant will be somewhere around $30,000 or $40,000 potential for our department to offset costs. As far as our salary and wage, our staff salaries are decreasing to below 2014 levels with our retirements and hiring newer staff. And our O&E budget, we've requested to stay static, even though we were able to keep our spending a little bit below last year's numbers. With some of the changes we're making, We would like to keep that in there, as well as the other issue is with our medical supplies. We like to keep that number at a certain level because as things change every year, we're not really sure. Flu vaccine may decrease, but if we ever need initial medications or vaccines for up-and-coming emerging infectious diseases prior to the state implementing and distributing their supplies, we like to have that monies available for those emergencies. And that's really about it, unless anyone has any specific questions.
Questions or comments? Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Wait.
Yeah, I just want to just go back, this requested static 2016 O&E. I was just wanted to look at this and see. You're requesting 18,000
in O&E.
Looking for it.
Well, the overall O&E stayed the same.
So there's basically a $60,000 decrease in the total budget, and that's all in salaries. So everything else is staying the same.
Correct.
Yep.
I know that, you did have a problem with one of your sanitarians. I don't know if she's coming back. Hope she's okay. She's been out for a while, right?
Yes.
Is she coming back soon?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, my concern is, like, we have so many of these towns that we're taking care of, big restaurant towns, obviously, and Ben being the only one that's actually doing inspections. I know you just got your REHS. That's what I understand. Are you doing inspections as well?
I really haven't had the opportunity. I've handled emergency call-outs, but I really have not had the time with my responsibilities as health officer to handle routine retail food inspections. Emergency call-outs, communicable disease outbreaks, we've been doing those, and we all handle those.
When is Tamika coming back? Do you know? You shouldn't name her now. I'm not supposed to do that. The employee.
Yeah.
Yeah. When is she coming back?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Next week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That'd be helpful.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? Okay, great. Thank you.
Now we have land use, or... All right, back by popular demand, Bob Vogel and land use.
Over 25 minutes.
Just 10 seconds. You were
Thanks again.
yeah.
10 seconds, that's very short. Let me just say that Fran and Dan and Frank Russo, again, did more work this year than they did last. They keep bumping up the numbers every year. Generated almost $100,000 in revenue by 531 land use applications. And they broke it down there according to your slides. And the health department's not helping. The 477 zoning permits had 88 commercial permits that were done by Frank, 389 residentials that were done predominantly by Danny, and 40 ZBOA applications that were land use boards that were done by Fran. 14 planning board applications were also done by Fran. And once again, overall, did a great job. Fran especially handled a lot of professional services that she hadn't seen in many, many years. So the dollar value of professional services that were handled through Fran's office in terms of getting payments and proposals pulled together far exceeded any other year that we had been putting things together. And Spatial Data Logic also she did a special project there, which she deserves special commendation for. For 2015 in budget comments, not many changes. I believe the operating budgets are flat compared to last year, and if there are any questions, please feel free.
Any questions, comment? All right, thank you, Bob. Library.
Good evening. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. As with the other departments, we want to first present a few statistics from 2015. They reflect our daily operations, which of course represents the largest percentage of our annual budget. Our collection totals of 147,000 books and media materials. Last year we added or deleted a total of about 13,000 items. We circulated close to 200,000 items, and we registered over 600 new patrons. Our reports indicate about half of Madison's population has a library card. And our staff planned 577 programs that attracted over 21,000 people. We're open 60 hours per week during the school year, 56 during the summer. And although our staff configuration has changed somewhat over the past year, we have a full-time equivalent rate of 20 staff members, which is the same figure we reported to the State Library exactly a year ago. We do have one shared services employee. Our technology assistant is shared with the Library of the Chathams. I think these are pretty impressive statistics, particularly considering we were closed for several weeks during the abatement and the HVAC projects. Back in 2014, we had a banner year for circulation, and extrapolating on 2015, if we had been open all year, our circulation would have exceeded even that of 2014. 2015, we saw positive changes. We achieved some of the goals outlined in our strategic plan, which we completed about 3 years ago. And that called for renewing, refreshing the library space, rebalancing the collections, especially the digital collection, broadening access to technology. And actually, we've just about completed all the original technology plan recommendations. And they also recommended new programming. In terms of our space, we've already talked about the HVAC project, and I appreciate the funding, the capital funding we received, and the borough engineer's support. He did spend a lot of time with us during that project. During that project last fall, we have, as a result, we have new ceiling lighting in the lobby bathrooms, and the rear staff area. We also completed an abatement in the picture book room. In terms of the collection, especially the digital collection, we were very fortunate. Larry Tabor was very generous to us, and we have used some of his bequests to digitize the Madison Eagle. So we currently have the newspaper 1882 to 1995 available for research in the library. And through the resources offered by our Morris County Consortium, Maine, we are able to offer our patrons access to ebooks, audiobooks, and magazines. Last year, we offered a wide variety of programs for all ages. We worked closely with the local schools on several projects, display of children's artwork, physics projects, and we hosted coffee houses for the literary magazine over at the high school. We've increased our technology program. In 2015, on Tech Tuesdays, our staff offers one-on-one tech training. If you're having a problem with your laptop or your phone or whatever, you can come in and see if they can give you a hand. Thanks to a grant from the Rotary Club of Madison, we purchased 6 Chromebooks, and we added the apps, so we're doing some programming for young people using those. And last March, we participated in New Jersey Makers Day, and that's planned again for this year, next month. So 2016, basically our budget is flat. It's really a year of transition. We will complete the projects that started in terms of building projects that were started last year. We're refurbishing the lobby, new carpet, some wall covering on a wall that was refurbished behind the front desk. We are going to be remodeling the picture book room, and that's to gain more flexible program space for our children's activities. And we are rethinking the usage of space in our rear staff area to make it more efficient. So we have some furniture that is being ordered. In terms of technology, we are developing a new website, using new enhanced program registration on the website. We will have self-checkout in the lobby, and that's supported by the Friends of the Library. One thing we really need to do is upgrade our wireless service, so we have to start working on that. And we will be completing the Madison Eagle digitization, bringing it up to date. We are experiencing several staff changes. We've going through 3 retirements. You've heard about one earlier this evening in just a few months, and we've also had a resignation. So amalgamating those staff, absorbing them into our operations and training them and so forth will take a fair amount of supervisory time this year. In our budget highlights, salaries and the benefits, we followed the borough guidelines. We've had a slight increase in the third of a mil funding, but otherwise the budget is basically flat. The utilities, we did keep at the same level as last year. We need to have some experience with this new HVAC system. July 30th, the Friends will be holding Touch a Truck again, so we are anticipating income from that, and the income from the Touch a Truck 2 years ago is being donated toward the Children's Room project. So the picture book room is being paid totally with donated funds. So the capital budget. This year we're proposing paving of the parking lot. And I was recently able to get a company to come in and give us a more up-to-date quotation. So we're coming here tonight saying that we can reduce that number to $100,000 as opposed to the $165,000 that was originally in there. Carpeting we have in for $30,000, and we're in the process of getting quotations on that. The children's room abatement and restoration, we had some rough quotes on about a year ago, and that's in for $200,000. 2017, we're talking about resealing the roof, and we have a quote that will just need to be updated on that work. 2018, the adult room abatement restoration, we have $300,000 in for 2018, and then if you skip to 2019, there's another $100,000, and 2020, the same amount, the $100,000. 2018, we're also talking about redoing the fountain in the plaza. That really needs a major upgrade, I believe, in there because our courtyard is sinking and the pool is presenting various difficulties. So that's in for $75,000, and then the addressable fire alarm is in for $55,000 in 2019, as well as continuing to redo the fountain in the plaza for the $75,000. So they're the projects that we can foresee, based on the strategic plan. We are just going through, we have started in the center section of the library, the lobby and the rear area, and we're moving forward into the children's room, and the adult room will be last. So that's essentially presentation in brief. So are there any questions?
Comments or questions? Rob?
Thank you. When events are held in the Chase Room, does that money go toward the money received for renting out the Chase Room? Does that money go toward your operating budget, your capital budget, or is it returned to the borough?
It's anticipated as part of our income each year.
And and then the mill rate is paid on top of that, or is the mill rate incorporated into the money that's received from the Chase Room?
Mill rate, a utility subsidy, and a technology budget, and capital dollars.
So their overall budget shows different sources of revenue. The mill rate is the mill rate. That's strictly property tax. It would not include.
Those buckets does the rental income from the Chase Room sit?
That's would be another revenue source that helps.
Created, such as fines. We generate a certain amount of income each year that's in addition to the third of the mill.
Approximately how much is that?
Tom probably has it in his head. About $200,000.
I had to pay some of those fines. I think my kids lost a book.
So just to capture that for the audio on our recording here, the rental income for the Chase Room was $10,000 and fines was approximately $17,000 on it. Okay.
We don't charge rentals for Madison, non-for-profits, or anything.
Yes.
So the Chase Room serves as another resource for nonprofits, so they don't pay the rentals, but this would be
yes, if it's
outside
local,
of that.
if it's an area-wide out of Madison, we do charge a small fee. And music teachers have a fee for student recitals. And if a professional organization comes in, they're charged a separate fee.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Carmelo?
Nancy, you have to do an abatement in the children's room. Does that mean you have to close down again?
I'm
What's
sure they
gonna
will. We
happen
haven't thought
because-
about the details on this
Yeah.
yet, but I've recommended, as we move forward, and frankly, a few years ago, we met with Drew facilities people as to how you handle the asbestos issue, you know. And they advise that they do it when they're doing construction. They do removals as necessary, or if there's an emergency. And that's basically the guideline that we have followed, similar
With
to
the other-
Drew.
yeah.
So it will be quite a project. I would think there would be a closing, and we would have to figure out how to handle it as it gets closer in.
Thank you.
We don't like to close, believe me.
No. And certainly our residents don't like
So-
to.
Okay?
All right.
Thank you very much.
Jim? Jim requested 30 seconds.
30 seconds, and I know how to count. So, in any event, I just want to note that Ray and I are going to work with the department heads on looking to reduce costs. Nancy talked about reducing the cost in the parking lot. There are a couple of other options. Our concern, which I had expressed at the last meeting, is we have over $21 million worth of capital in the 5-year capital plan amongst all the department heads for general capital. That's not utility, that's just the 5-year capital plan for general capital. And we're reserving right now this year in our budget $3.5 million. It takes $4.2 million a year on average to fund that $21 million. So we need to, Ray and I are going to be working on trying to figure out how to close that gap. So some of it will be, as Carmela had talked about with Lou, maybe we could shift that truck and spread it over 2 years and have part of it be in the 6th year. Some of it could be some cost savings that Chief Datchison and Nancy and others have identified. We'll work with you on that and we'll get back to you on it, okay?
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Unless there's any other comments from the council on the budget, I will open this right now to the public for anyone wishing to comment on the budget only or ask questions on the budget. Anyone wishing to do so, please step up to the lectern, state your name, address, and keep your comments and questions 3 minutes or less if possible. Anyone wishing to comment? Seeing none, I close that part, and we move on to softball scoreboard donation, the MRC. Austri.
Right, thank you, Mayor. The softball, junior softball girls program is willing to donate a scoreboard. In the fall, 2 scoreboards have been put up, but one on MRC 1 and one on MRC 2, but there was always intended to be a third for softball because they have different. So the $11,000 that the borough engineer has determined it will cost to install can come out of the recreation budget.
And do we know the cost of the scoreboard itself?
You know, I didn't get, they didn't give me the cost of the scoreboard.
Okay, yep, just.
They only-
It costs as much to install it as it does to.
Right, that's what I'm thinking, but that's, yep. Okay, any questions or concerns? We have that's Resolution 80, if we're fine with that, on the consent agenda. All right. Thank you, and please pass on the thank you to the Softball Association for that donation.
What I think is really nice is on the back of it, which will be facing the entrance to the MRC, will be Welcome to Madison. Welcome to the Madison Recreation Complex. So I thought that was very nice that the back would have that welcoming sign.
Thank you. All right, moving on to ordinances for hearing. Will the clerk please read the statement?
Ordinances scheduled for hearing were introduced by title and passed on a first reading at a regular meeting of the council held on Monday, January the 25th, 2016. All were posted and filed according to law, and copies were made available to the general public requesting same.
I call up ordinances for second reading. I ask the clerk to read said ordinances by title.
Ordinance 4, 2016, ordinance of the Borough of Madison appropriating $965,000 from the General Capital Improvement Fund for the 2016 road reconstruction projects.
I open the hearing. Anyone wishing to comment on it? Ordinance 4. Seeing none, I close the hearing.
Mayor, I move ordinance 4-2016.
Any council discussion? Rob?
Thank you. So, in the past, I had voted for to pre-fund roads, but then voted against the budget, and there was some conversation. I'm planning to vote for these. I have several concerns with the budget. I have one major concern with the budget overall, and it's that we're drawing down an incremental $600,000 from electric utility to spend on operating. I have no issue really with the electric utility surplus that we're using to spend on capital. I called Ray and I briefly discussed it with him. I will get into more detailed discussions with Jim as per the suggestion made earlier tonight about what I think we can do about it. So I'm going to vote yes on these, but I reserve the right to vote against the budget. Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Catalanello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
I declare ordinance 4, 2016 adopted and finally passed, and I ask the clerk to publish notice thereof in the newspaper and file the ordinance in accordance with the law.
Ordinance 5, 2016, ordinance of the Borough of Madison appropriating $805,250 from the General Capital Improvement Fund for the 2016 milling and overlay projects.
I open the hearing. Anyone wishing to comment, please step forward. Seeing none, I close the hearing.
Mayor, I move ordinance 5-2016.
Second.
Council discussion. Roll call vote.
Mr. Catalanello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
I declare ordinance 5, 2016 adopted and finally passed, and ask the clerk to publish notice there in the newspaper and file the ordinance in accordance with the law.
Ordinance 6, 2016, ordinance of the Borough of Madison appropriating $30,000 from the Municipal Open Space Trust Fund for a letter of interpretation for Memorial Park.
I open the hearing for ordinance 6. Anyone wishing to comment, please step forward. Seeing none, I close the hearing.
Mayor, I move ordinance 6-2015.
A second.
Council discussion. Roll call vote.
Mr. Catalanello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
I declare ordinance 6, 2016 adopted and finally passed, and I ask the clerk to publish notice thereof in the newspaper and file the ordinance in accordance with the law.
Ordinance 7, 2016, ordinance of the Borough of Madison appropriating $270,000 from the Water Capital Improvement Fund for construction of water main replacements on local roads.
I open hearing for ordinance 7. Anyone wishing to comment, please step forward. Seeing none, I close the hearing.
Mayor, I move ordinance 7-2016.
Second.
Any council discussion? Roll call vote.
Mr. Catalanello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
I declare ordinance 7-2016 adopted and finally passed, and I ask the clerk to publish notice thereof in the newspaper and file the ordinance in accordance with the law. And now we're on to invitation for discussion. This one is open to anything. If you wish to comment, please step to the lectern and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Anyone wishing to comment? Seeing none, I close this part of the meeting. There are no introduction ordinances. Will the clerk please read the statement related to consent agenda resolutions?
Consent agenda resolutions will be enacted with a single motion. Any resolution requiring expenditure is supported by a certification of availability of funds. Any resolution requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda. All resolutions will be reflected in full in the minutes.
Mayor, I move consent agenda resolutions R74-2016 through R82-2016 inclusive.
I'll second that.
Any council discussion? Roll call vote.
Mr. Catalanello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
There is no unfinished business. Approval of vouchers.
Public safety, $11,225.83. Health and public assistance, $924.68. Public Works and Engineering, $81,577.72. Community Affairs, $2,159.69. Finance and Borough Clerk, $474,308.32. And Utilities, $392,221.59. The total is $962,417.83.
Mayor, I move the vouchers.
Second. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Mr. Catalanello?
Yes.
Mr. Landrigan?
Yes.
Mrs. Vitale?
Yes.
Ms. Bailey?
Yes.
Under new business, I wish to announce the following appointment that does not require council consent, and that is Chris Kellogg of Walnut Street as alternate number 1 member for a 2-year term. This is for the Historic Preservation Commission, alternate number 1 member, 2-year term, December 31st, 2017. And it falls on you, Ostry. That's...
I move to adjourn.
All right.
Well, you did
done.
that so well.
Thank you. You want to open the meeting up again? I'll do it again. Ever, yeah.
Tell them. Do you know that? Tell them. Yeah. That's what I told them.
Going to do it. You spent more time here than... That's not the way it is. That's not the way it is. They put me back here.